Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I have a video for you. It's going to be a tips video for Survivor, very similar to the video that I made for Killer recently, like an updated 2020, just my personal top 5 tips on how to do well and consistently rank up as Survivor. I am always in red ranks as Survivor and Killer. I feel like I have a decent grasp on how to, continuously rank up and escape a good portion of the time as a solo, and that's important to mention because it is much easier to escape when you're with a team. But I know there's a lot of solo survivors out there that get frustrated and might have a harder time than with the team because obviously you can't communicate with the other three people. So we're gonna jump into this, but before, real quick, it's not really a tip, but it is a piece of advice for earlier on players, and that's another thing too. This is mainly for beginner players, by the way, not for the veterans. I know there's some veterans out there that are gonna be like, oh, duh, but yeah, it's for mainly newer players. And if you're a veteran player and you're watching this, you can agree or disagree with me in the comments, just like I said in my Killer video. Anyway, so first piece of advice, not necessarily a tip, is I recommend Windows of Opportunity, 100%. If there's one perk that I could recommend you starting out as Survivor, it's Windows of Opportunity, because the most important thing you can do as Survivor is extend the chase as long as possible. Because the longer that you're doing a chase, the longer everybody else is doing gens, and you get to escape. Eventually, you're going to get downed, and that's fine because that's how it's supposed to be. But the time that you waste is crucial, and this really conditions you to knowing where the pallets are and knowing where the windows are. If you didn't know, that's what the perk does. It tells you in your radius where pallets are and where windows are, so you know where to go to for your safe points. It's a super, super good perk. It's not something you have to use all the time. It's just something you use when you're starting out. So you get to learn the tiles and the textures of, where the windows are, where the pallets are. And then once you get the hang of it, you start to, get used to the maps. You can take this off and replace it with Borrowed Time or Quick and Quiet. There's a lot of different perks you can switch up. But beginner survivors, I highly, highly recommend this. It's a Kate Denson perk. You do have to buy her. She's DLC, but $5, and it's definitely worth it. I'm telling you, this will make you a better player over any of the other Survivor perks, in my opinion. This will completely change the way you play the game. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the actual tips. The first tip that I have is don't be afraid to use pallets. Always use them if it's going to extend the chase, but don't waste them. And some people have different definitions of what wasting a pallet means. Some people say that if you use the pallet, that you wasted it because now it's not there. That's complete BS. Don't listen to them. These are people that get really greedy doing loops and they get hit or get down because they don't want to use the pallet. Don't do that. If you're gonna get hit and you think you might get hit, just use the pallet. It's always safer. After it's down, the killer has to break it most of the time, or at least you can try to mind game it to extend the chase, because it's way better than getting hit most of the time. But I'm going to show you an example of what wasting a pallet actually is. Wasting a pallet is when you go through and you use the pallet, but you get hit at the same time. So if you're going through a loop and you know you're going to get hit, don't just take the hit, get the sprint burst, and keep running. I'm going to show you right here. So I'm going through this, and I do have enough time, but I get stuck on the pallet, you'll see, on accident right there. And then I accidentally put it down anyway. And you see, once the pallet's down, there's not much they can do, especially at loops like this. They have to break it. Gives you plenty of time to move to the next one. But that's what you want to try to do is if you know the killer's going to get a hit, just don't use the pallet, because that's wasting it, because that means that the pallet didn't actually serve its purpose. The killer still got their hit regardless. So that is the real definition of wasting a pallet. Now I'm going to go right into the second tip that I have, and that is never be doing nothing as a survivor. So this chase that I have with this Legion easily could have been a 3-4, at least a 3-gen chase. I don't know what my teammates were doing. I think maybe they were screwing around a little bit at the beginning, but you always need to be doing something. You need to at least be cleansing totems or something. There went one gen. But never be doing nothing. A lot of people, especially newer players, will crouch around. They're all scared. I promise you there's nothing you need to be scared of. Survivors are very much the power role in this game, so you don't need to be scared. Always be doing something, particularly gens. Yeah, if you're not healing a survivor, if you're not doing a totem, never crouch around. Never sit in lockers. Always do something, especially gens. My third tip is that it's okay to be injured sometimes. Don't, just because you're injured doesn't mean that you have to go hide and, you know, oh my god, a killer's gonna down me. You can still do objectives. You can still get stuff done. Obviously, if you find teammates and you're in a safe spot, you can heal each other. If you have a med kit or self-care, you can heal. But always try to continue doing the objective if you can, even if you're injured. Obviously, unless you don't have, you know, a pallet or a window. But just don't be afraid to be injured. My fourth tip is to be a team player. I promise you, I mean, there's an altruism category for a reason. You shouldn't just care about yourself and escaping. A lot of times you can rank up without having to escape. And I think that being a team player is super important, because if you're that guy that's been sitting on the hook forever and none of your teammates are saving you as a solo, unfortunately this guy got screwed. But still, even though that guy went down, I'm still doing my best to body block this guy, make sure he doesn't go down. Just always be a team player. Go for the hook if no one else is. Heal somebody if they are. If all the gens are done, try to make sure everybody escapes. It's different if you're injured and on death hook. You don't want to give the killer an extra kill. But if you haven't been hooked yet, or even if you've only been hooked once, you can easily, you know, put yourself out there to distract the killer, to give that other person enough time to get up and give them a chance to escape. Which this guy, unfortunately, did not, because, well, the Legion wanted to, you know, take advantage of that situation, which I don't blame them, I suppose. But yeah, be a team player. Now, my fifth and final tip, and by far the most important tip, in my opinion, just my personal opinion, play killer. You don't have to play killer all the time. You don't have to be a killer main, but for the love of God, play killer. Nothing will make you a better survivor than playing both sides. I am telling you right now. It opens your mind in so many different ways. It lets you understand, you know, what is safe, what isn't safe. When you see survivors going for things, if you know, you start learning the best routes for killers to take in order to get downs, you know as a survivor what routes to avoid, taking the killer on, things like that. And it just really gives you that other side, because so many people just play one side and then they think that they're amazing and they think that they understand the game. They don't. And I promise you that you're never going to be an amazing survivor. You're never going to be the best survivor that you can be unless you play killer as well. And the only reason I didn't have this tip in my killer video is because I think there's so many other things killer needs. A killer definitely needs a lot more help than survivors do. But I think that this is a massive thing for survivors, especially. That if you play killer, and you don't have to play all the time, but if you just, you know, every couple survivor matches switch and play killer just to understand, it will make you a better survivor, and it will give you a better understanding of the game as a whole. And then you might not complain about certain things, like, oh, even though all the gens were done and I was about to, you know, and I was on the hook, the killer camped me, or the killer tunneled me. It's like, yeah, no shit, dude. They wanted one kill. Like, you have to understand things from a killer's perspective sometimes. Like, it sucks. You think that killer wanted to be in that situation where they have to just sit there in the hook and do nothing? Obviously, there's killers that face camp throughout the entire game, and that's just to be a troll or whatever, and it's not fun for the survivor. But there's certain situations where the killer just doesn't have a choice, and your understanding of that will just make you, I don't know, I think it makes you a better player. It makes you appreciate the game more, and it doesn't make you as spiteful of the other side when you can understand where they're coming from. And that does go both ways, but that would be my number one tip. Anyway, that does do it for this video. I hope this was helpful. Please let me know in the comments if I missed anything, or if you think there's something that's more important. Yeah, but these are my tips, and I hope you enjoyed the video. See you in the next one. Peace.